Hello, guys. I'm going to talk about Quebec because, unlike certain individuals, and by that I mean JJ McCullough, I'm one of those people who actually do care about it. And that JJ McCullough guy, he's a guy on YouTube. He's a very complicatedly stupid individual, and yeah, he's just one of those individuals that are like, oh, nobody's gonna care about Quebec or whatever. But he's like a propagandist or whatever, but that isn't really the point of this video. He's not really the reason why I'm here talking about this. He's mostly irrelevant to the issue at hand, other than he's just Canadian, I guess. But whatever. Anyway, Quebec is a nation and a country that is what do you call it? Um, it doesn't have complete self sovereignty over itself. It's self governing, meaning that it can make its own rules and laws and shit, but it's not fully self sovereign, meaning like it's like nobody can legally do that because it is its own nation, you know? Like right now, it's its own country. I consider Quebec to be a country, like how the UK has the four countries within it. Like that's just how I kind of view it from that perspective. But if I'm being for real, it really is starting to become its own nation, and not just because of the French speakers. There are a lot of English speaking Quebecers over there, and yeah, I support your guys' independence movement. And the reason why is because if you know my opinion on Canada, it ain't exactly bright. Like if you ask me, Canada does need to balkanize. Canada really does need it. Why? Because if they don't do that within the next, I believe, 10 to 20 or so years, maximum, by the way. Uh, Earlier I did say like within the year, but I really just meant Quebec. I wanted to be more clear about that, you know? And I thought about writing this video in French, but I don't actually speak French, so I don't want to like piss somebody off because you wrote this video in French and then you started speaking English. Like how those Indians be doing when uh they'll be like having a video with the video title completely in English without telling you that it is in a different language or whatever, and then they'll just speak it in that language. Like they'll speak like Hindi or something to you. And I'm not saying that like because they have a thick accent. No, I mean a lot of these people will speak a different language, but they'll write the title in English or they'll write the title in a different language. Or sometimes YouTube will shift it to a different language, but that's a whole another thing. And that's not really my discussion because that's a whole other debate for somebody else to make. Anyway, yeah, I support it. Quebec has been trying to go basically independent ever since there really was a movement. And I would say the most famous example was in the 1970s. But there have been many, many times, and the movement had mostly died down, especially in the 2000s and 2010s for whatever reason. And it seemed like it was mostly dead. That is until the 2020s, this decade. Some of the 2010s, sure, but there was never really that spark like there is now. Okay? Like, don't get me wrong, I still love Canada, but I think being Canadian should be more of a regional name rather than a country. Like, at this point, that's what it is. It's more of a region than a country because why are you still trying to claim that you're one country? Canada is not really one country anymore. What it really is just like seven different countries right now, but that could be turned into like 20 or something. If the US balkanized, that would be really, really bad. But if Canada did, there would be more benefits than less benefits. Like right now, for Canada, at least for the parts that I'm aware of, at least for, because I'm politically aware and I'm politically accurate in some way to this by, I'm not saying I'm a professional, but like by people who are from Canada that are professionals, that are legally a Canadian citizen, and are part of their government, all stuff like that, are all a part of the big system of Canada, you know, things like that. And they said that if Canada doesn't balkanize, there's room for Canada to turn into a dictatorship. In other words, North Korea, or in this case, Russia. But like, at least in terms of power, in terms of how strict they could go, you know? But yeah, and get rid of those hate speech laws, you know? You guys really do need freedom of speech way more than we do um, here in America. But still, yeah, you guys really do need that. And um, go ahead and make your independence, I would say. Um, it sucks that Canada may not exist anymore, but I guess you get to put more flags on the map. I guess you get to say, "Hey, I live in an area where there's more countries around me," you know, that kind of thing. Um, Now I don't really. I live in a similar region close to Quebec, but I don't actually live in Quebec, nor do I live in Canada. Obviously, I'm not a Canadian. I live in America, and I'm an American. And by America, I mean USA, that America. But yeah, uh, it's a good nation. It's a good country. At least for the people that I met. I've never personally been there, but I've met people that are from Quebec that speak English, that are good people. And I say speak English because I don't really understand French. So for the ones that come over here that speak English, yeah, they're pretty nice people. They're like, there's this whole stereotype that Quebecers are mean. What they really mean to say is they really mean to say people from a certain capital city in Canada, you know? A certain one, which I'm probably not gonna need to name of because we all know who the motherfucker is, alright? I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not like that Justin Trudeau guy is still in office. But still, I believe it's called Ontario, if I'm right. I'm not sure. You can correct me if you're Canadian, but um, even if you're not, this is something very important to me because, um, well, I come from a state called Michigan, and in Michigan, there are some independence movements, but it's more of like uh, separating into different states and stuff like that. But it's so weird, you know? Like here in the US, we sort of have like semi states that are sort of semi countries. Whereas if you go to Canada, they're actual countries, but they're still kind of enforced by Canadian law. Kind of like UK, ain't it? Doing similar things, aren't you? Doing similar things, and yet they still be doing this shit. And I don't like, some Quebecers do feel Canadian, but like I've never really met like somebody who is like from Quebec that said, "Oh yeah, I truly feel Canadian." They're Canadian in the like political or legal sense, but politically, not necessarily politically, but it is starting to stretch out uh, religiously, culturally, sports wise. They really do want to be their own nation, and I can't blame them. I just can't blame them because Canada sucks. Your housing crisis sucks. Like, yeah, housing crisis sucks in the US, but what the fuck, bro, is going on in Canada? Like, at this point, you kind of really need it because it would make housing a lot cheaper, because you would have a lot less debt to take over, you know? Like, yeah, it could cause some problems, but you guys really do need that kind of thing. And if you're for Quebec or not, like, what's your reason for um, being a part of it, and why, if you are from this part of the world? But yeah, I support them. That's it. But if you have any opinions, you can write in the comments below, uh, or you can make your own video. I don't really care. But I'm out of here, so yeah, that's pretty much it. So if you have any opinions about this Quebec stuff, let me know. But as for now, I support Quebec going independent as a nation and country, their self-sovereignty and self-governing itself. But anyway, I am out of here, and just remember, stay ugly.